Come on. Ben?
Yeah, I think I agree with Harry. It's far less, I think, about what Chris actually said to us and more about the way he works. It means that you are just kind of sucked into this world, and I think anyone who's a fan of Chris's films can see that the characters are grounded in such a sense of reality, even when they're so obscure and kind of surreal, that you're able to empathize with them so much easier. And I think that was an amazing thing to be a part of, to be thrown into this world and just be reacting to the situations he was putting in front of us.
Jack, I guess you were told probably just to hold your breath.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't need to be told that. Well, there was parts of what I got to do. I was saying this earlier, especially when I'd go up in the plane with the IMAX camera on the wing, and we'd come back down and show Chris. It very much felt like shooting a short film in a way. That Chris would have a look, and then we'd stick more film in the camera, and up we'd go and do something again. Something different that Chris had thought of, and we'd come back down. He'd have a look. It was basically sort of. Technically, there was only about 3 of us there when we were doing that, me, the pilot, and Chris, and that part was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Barry, Mark, notes from the director?
I mean, as the lad said there, Chris creates a world for you. I've not been on a film before where you have Spitfires come over you, battleships to your left, right. You don't have to act. I mean, it's fun. It's you know what I mean. So yeah, it was more the way. The world he created, and it just made it a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't have a memory of lots of notes or talk or micromanagement, which is really tiresome as an actor. I felt very trusted. Sometimes in modern films, the director is 100 yards away in a tent, hopefully not playing on their Game Boy, but watching. But seriously, I have been in films where you're not sure the director's even watched what you're doing. But on the contrary with Chris, he felt very much there with us. And Jack was reminding me that at times he would be rocking the boat behind the camera. You didn't feel him just there physically. You felt him there emotionally with you, and very observant to what was organically happening between the 3 of us, Tom Glencarny and I, and his notes were very gentle and never felt like I was being asked to do something other than to try and bring as much as my own humanity as I could in that situation. I mean, you didn't have much choice other than to be close to us on that little boat, but you know what I mean. He was just very personally involved. It's very hard to be a film director, I think, and many film directors have to take jobs and have careers that involve doing things just to get somewhere else. But you felt Chris wasn't trying to get anywhere else than where we were right on that day, and enjoy that. So that's should be the norm, but it's actually a gift when you get that from a director.
For Chris, and also Emma too, considering that trying to make this film as realistic as possible. You were using real things, real planes. How did you do all this?
Well, in planning the aerial sequences, it was very important to me that we try to achieve as much in camera as possible. So we were able to get real Spitfires, real bomber, real Heinkels, and really try and get the IMAX camera places we'd never got it before. Really try and put the audience in the cockpit of the plane with the pilot. And so there was a lot of attention to detail, a lot of careful planning. We shot all those sequences on IMAX, and overwhelmingly for real. That was the intention. And we got, as Jack was referring to, we bought a Yak airplane that's very similar in size and shape to a Spitfire, but has 2 cockpits, so we could have a real pilot flying while we had our actor up in the air with the camera mounted on the wing getting his close-ups. And that was the kind of thing we really wanted to do, to try and tell this aerial story in a way that we hadn't seen before.
Emma, do you ever say no?
Okay. I don't know how to answer that question. Yes. Well, no, I don't say no exactly. I would say I listen to the way Chris wants to do something, and I I question whether it's the right way to do it, I would say. I think that's generally the MO. But I think that I just wanted to also add to the question of, how we did things for real. Not only, I think that with all of these things, with the Spitfires, with the boats, we have there are a lot of people who are that are real enthusiasts for this era of history and do a great deal to sort of keep the memory of it alive. And so not only did we have the Spitfires, but we also had some of the real little ships that were basically recreated the journey that they made in 1940. There's a group of very passionate owners of those little ships, and they regularly get together and memorialize the evacuation. And we had some of them come to Dunkirk, which was an incredible thing. And I think that it really helped all of us to sort of tell the story in a very authentic way.
Stephen.
For Harry, this is a supporting role, and I assume that your people, your agents or whatever, have given you proposals where, like Elvis or Eminem, you would have made your movie debut in a starring role. Why did you decide this was the way for you to go? And for Christopher, did you, when you were starting out, worry that his celebrity might overshadow his co-stars who were virtually unknown to a mass audience?
I think for me, when I first heard about, Chris making this film, I was kind of already excited to watch it. I think it's something that I would have been excited for had I had absolutely no involvement. And I think other than, the urge to want to get involved in it and try and, do anything to kind of be a part of it, I can't say I really thought too much other than that about it. I think everyone being on Chris's set, he's so passionate about it, and it's so infectious and creates this environment where everyone, cast and crew, I think there's one focus, and it's doing the best for him and doing the best for the film and making it as good as it can possibly be. And I don't think there's really any room to think about anything too personal other than that. I feel like there's kind of, everyone has the same goal, and that's just to do their part for the film, really.
I mean, my job as a director is to see the potential in the people we're thinking of casting, and whether you're talking about somebody who's never done a film before, like Finn or Harry, or whether you're talking about somebody very experienced, like Mark Rylance or Ken Branagh, you have to see the potential for them to do something they've never done before. That's really the ideal. You try not to cast people who've done exactly what they've done because they won't feel challenged and they won't get anything out of the experience. And so you can't worry too much about previous roles that Mark has done, or or Harry's celebrity or whatever. I think the audience, when they come to a film, if we all do our job right, they become invested in the world that you've created and they take it on its own terms.
Now over here.
Mr. Nolan, first off, a clarification from one of my fellow journalists. Did you say the cameraman was on the wing of the plane?
No, the camera was mounted on the wing of the plane.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yes.
My question was, you started off by saying that this story had mystic levels when you heard about it, as a youth. How did you keep that balance between showing the huge nature of this story and keeping it a very human story?
Well, the idea behind the structure of the story and the way in which we've told it is really by virtue of trying to tell it on a very human scale, on a very intimate scale, and create what I refer to as an intimate epic. You're trying to stay in a very, very intimate point of view with each of the story threads, but have them gradually, over the course of the film, build up a cumulative picture of a very, very large event.
Right here?
My question is for Harry, Finn, and the rest of the guys. What was your awareness of the Dunkirk operation beforehand, and what was your research? Did you go to some of your older relatives and talk to them about it, or what was your research process, or did you feel you needed to?
Well, I think it's obviously something that you learn at school. I think, like Chris has said, it's told in this very kind of washed over way. It's it's not. You're often taught about the end of the war, and there was obviously so many events after it. I think it's often looked over in terms of just how pivotal it was, and obviously the events that came afterwards. So I think it was, I think we all feel kind of lucky to be a part of something that gets to tell such an important story in a little more detail than I think it's usually told in. Yeah.